point. Now, in normal times, if you can remember normal times, if we could rewind back to 2019, how much time did you spend together, and how much time did you spend in Portugal? How much time did you spend over in the Barossa? And then how has that morphed as we came into the year that I wish had never happened, 2020? And how has that impacted your winemaking?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would be there, a couple of times a year, April, and then harvest time, sort of a key time for blending, and harvest, obviously, a critical time. But even before COVID, we were catching up on, usually WhatsApp. And on a weekly basis, or every few days, talking about stuff as it came up. And I suppose what has changed now is, that still has continued, and those regular meetings as well, with other members of the team. But it's just Zoom tasting. That's been the thing. So I've ended up with hundreds of samples.
I was about to say,
sent to me here in Australia, and usually this time of night, this is when we're doing our blending normally. Often it's for me late at night, and for João just after lunch. That tends to be a good, or it works out that way. And often I'm in my garage, set up in the garage, because it's nice and cool and it's quiet in there, and I don't wake up anyone else in the house. And that's how we've managed to keep things rolling along. And it's not ideal, obviously. But we've made it work.
So those virtual assemblage tastings are actually working for you.
Yeah. So João has the lineup, the same lineup of wines as I do. And we've both got our measuring cylinders and pipettes, it's like, try this. And you're like, you try this one. So and back and forth, this it goes. So,
and how did the kind of COVID restrictions impact the harvest of 2020?
It was not a problem in 2020 because, for example, for fruit stomp and working in the winery, we work with bubbles, if you want, like families to fruit stomp together. And that in the vintage time, it was not a big problem, COVID. So when we work with locals, so where the people came from and the villages, if there was a problem there or not. So we didn't feel it so much like that.
Because on your website, you have all of these people stomping grapes with their feet, and there was no social distancing going on there whatsoever.
No, families normally.
I guessed as much. Now, does that traditional foot stomped grape still happen with your wines?
Yes, we foot stomp some fruit, not all. For ports mainly, as well for red. But we use old bunches as well. We ferment in one town beans and lagars. So different techniques, but we foot stomp some, yes. Not during all the process, but before the fermentation.
Right. And with regards to the use of sulfur, how much of that gets involved in your winemaking process?
Normally, we just use sulfur in the end of fermentation.
Right.
Low levels in the whites, so because of pH and the acidity we have, and we keep the wines in the reductive environment, so really low sulfur. In the reds, because they stay longer in oak, a little bit more, but never too much. So.
And what is the size of your production today?
So we produce more or less in towns, 200 towns. So we sell some grapes with our port lessons, but we produce around 100 tons for us. It's more or less half and half. So.
And what does that equate to with regards to numbers of bottles or cases in a year?
Matt, you are more used to deal with the cases than I. I'm just dealing with the peepers. That it's the Portuguese measure for the liters.
Yeah, we're sort of about 7,000 cases.
Okay.
Bit over that. So yeah.
And how much of that goes to export, and how much of that is domestic?
Actually, majority. Oh no, actually, it would probably be a 50-50 split. Actually,
Okay.
when you
more for exportation, maybe more 60-40, something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, and your major markets for those wines outside the export markets?
Export UK is
Right.
a big market, but also into the Netherlands, and obviously Canada.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yes. So I think we need to shout out to buyers and sellers.
Great people,
partners. In your neck of the woods, and certainly that's actually been a good market for us since we took over.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for joining us all the way from Portugal, all the way from out in the Margaret River there in Western Australia. And I really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for giving us an insight into your operation in the Douro. And hopefully once all of this COVID stuff is over, maybe we can see you over in Toronto for a glass of wine.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Still think it's going to be a while, but still, it would be nice. It would be nice. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.